So today we're going to dive into the entire journey of bringing a website to life. And, it's so much more than just lines of code. It's a whole life cycle, really, with these distinct, super crucial stages, from just a fleeting thought all the way to a lasting legacy. Come on, who hasn't? You're just going about your day and then bam, that sudden spark of inspiration for the next big thing online. I think we've all been there. But the real question is, how do you take that flash of genius and actually turn it into a real, functioning, successful website? Well, that's the path we're going to walk today, together. This is the story of how an idea becomes a real destination on the web. We're going to cover every single step of its life cycle. All right, let's get into it. Every single website you've ever visited, from the simplest little blog to the most massive, complex platform, starts right here. It doesn't begin with a line of code or a fancy server. It begins with a simple thought, a spark. That first idea, it's almost always kind of vague, right? So the first critical step is to give it some shape. This means doing some pre-design testing. Maybe that's just asking potential users what they think or sketching out some really simple mockups. The goal here is to go from a fuzzy, half-baked notion to what the source material calls a hammered-out concept. Basically, a solid, well-defined foundation that you can actually build something on. So, once you have that solid concept, you can't just jump in and start building. Nope. The next phase is all about planning and designing. You have to think of it like an architect creating a really detailed blueprint before a single brick is laid. This is where your idea gets its bones, its structure. And a huge part of that blueprint is figuring out your resources. I mean, obviously, a reasonable budget is key, but it goes way beyond that. It's about assembling your crew. The investors who actually believe in your vision, the advertisers who can give you reach, and the supporters who become your first champions. These connections are absolutely the essential scaffolding that helps you build this thing from the ground up. Now, what's so fascinating here is this idea of the 1-second test. Think about it. When a visitor lands on your site, you have literally about 1 second to make an impression. A cohesive, unified design immediately builds trust. It looks professional. A chaotic one does the exact opposite. It just confuses people and completely fails to communicate any kind of value. So the big takeaway is, your design isn't just pretty decoration, it's your first and maybe most important handshake with every single user. All right, with a solid blueprint in hand, it's finally time to build the engine. This is the back end, the technical heart of the website that powers everything the user sees and does. So what is the back end exactly? Well, it's all the magic happening behind the curtain. When you log into a site, post a comment, or buy something, the back end is what makes all of that possible. It's this powerful combination of the server, the application's logic, and the database, all working together perfectly to get the right information to the right person at exactly the right time. And this leads to one of the most fundamental questions in back-end development. To database or not to database? See, if your site needs to remember anything, user profiles, product inventories, you name it, you're going to need a database, or a DB. A super simple blog might get away without one, but an e-commerce site, no way. This choice is absolutely pivotal because it's going to affect your site's speed, its ability to grow, and its complexity for its entire life. Okay, you've built it. The engine is humming. The design is beautiful. Now what? Well, you have to get people to actually show up. This is the debut. This is the phase where you go out and find your audience. And this slide illustrates a classic trap. It is so easy to get excited about a giant number of hits. But here's the thing. A hit is just a single request for a file. A single web page with 10 images on it will generate 11 hits. Visits, on the other hand, that represents actual people. That's the number that really matters. So, don't chase those vanity metrics. Focus on building a real audience of actual visitors. So, how do you get those visitors to become repeat visitors? You've got to think about two things: discovery and destination. You need fresh content and smart SEO so new people can discover you. But you also need community features, like forums, to give them a real reason to stay, to feel like they belong. It's not just about attracting eyeballs. It's about building a home for people on the web. And that brings us to a phase that so many people forget about. The work is not done at launch. In a lot of ways, it's just getting started. A website is a living, breathing thing that needs constant care and attention to thrive and evolve through its own life stages. This follow-through is all about commitment. It's about the continuous cycle of updating the live site, squashing bugs, and providing real support to your users. It requires this ongoing dedication to keep the site relevant, secure, and genuinely useful for the community you've worked so hard to build.
But, all projects eventually reach some kind of end. When it's time to move on, there are really two main paths for a website's legacy. You can sell it, transferring the whole package, the domain, the code, the user base to a new owner. Or you can choose to go open source, giving your code to the community and allowing others to learn from it, use it, and build on your work for years to come. Which really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. When that last line of code is written and a project concludes, is that truly the end of the journey? Or through its sale to a new owner or its release to the open source community, does that journey just begin all over again for someone else?